Well, good evening. Here we are, finally. I've been looking forward to making this video for the longest time on this topic of leadership. I've been dreaming about this for the longest time. I mentioned on the last video that the next time you see me, we're going to go at it hard and heavy. We're going to hit this topic of leadership really hard, okay? So be ready. I'm about ready to take you guys on a ride. It's going to be a good, joyous ride. We're going to learn together because as I'm studying and preparing for these videos, I'm also learning myself, okay? That's always been a goal of mine. I know that I'm good. I'm not the smartest guy on earth, okay, or in this industry. I know there's plenty of other guys and ladies in this industry that are a lot smarter than I am, okay? But I will say that for the majority part, a big percentage that I will beat is in my work ethic. There's a lot of people that I can outwork, and that's part of the battle, okay? So yes, you need to be competent in what you do to be an effective leader, but man, it's a lot of hard work. And if you're not willing to put in the hard work, then you know all the brain power you have is for naught, okay? So it's always been a goal of mine to always be better at anything that I do, whether it be in sports, in the military, trying to get promoted to certain ranks, or even in my current situation. I am a part of a team right now in a medical practice. The one thing that I do realize every morning when I clock in is the only way that this team that I'm leading is going to be better is if I'm better. Okay, if I'm growing, then the team's going to grow. Okay, so as a leader, I want to do that. I want to grow every day so that my team can grow every day. Okay, just look at it this way: if you don't water a plant, it's gonna die. Okay, so I have to feed myself with knowledge and books and videos, you know, and thoughts and stuff every day so that I can grow myself. So I've always wanted to be better as a leader. Okay, only just to help others be better at what they do. Okay, that's my goal. So I've I was a part of COAT, Certified Opticians Association of Texas. I took over late December of 2024, and so my goal then was, from day one, I know there's not a lot of opticians in the industry that are really good at what they do. They're really smart, a lot of master opticians out there, but my goal is to make you better, okay? I'm not going to be too technical, but man, you're going to see in these videos how passionate I am about this industry, how passionate I am about the topic of leadership. Only because of one thing, because I want to make everybody else in this industry passionate about it and become good leaders for future generations to come, okay? Keep saying all the time, let's face it, I'm not getting any younger, okay? So one day I'm not going to be in the industry, and there's got to be somebody that's going to be eventually is going to want to take over, okay? So you might be good. My goal is to make you better. That's it, period, okay? Now remember, the last time that you saw my video, the last video, I said, I'm going to step on some toes, okay? I promise you I'm going to step on some toes. That's okay. I've had my toes stepped on professionally many times, okay? So you got to ask yourself, why is David doing this? Or why is he saying this? It's because I want to make you better. That's it. Okay, I'm not here to offend anybody. I'm not here to make anybody upset or mad. I'm here to make you better, okay? So again, my name is David. I'm not the enemy, okay? So being a United States Marine, I have plenty of enemies. I don't want any more, okay? So I'm here to help you guys be better, all right? So sometimes I'm gonna have to step on your toes to do that, okay? So let's put that aside. Now, I'm going to say some things on these videos that you're going to agree with, okay? I'm going to say a lot of things that you're going to disagree with, okay? So here's what I say to that. If you hear something that you agree with, write it down, take it to the office, use it on your team. if you hear something or see something on videos that you disagree with, forget it. Don't write it down. Don't use it because you don't agree with it. Okay, number one. Find out why you don't agree with it. But if you don't agree with it, that's fine. Just forget it. All right. I don't need a lot of people sending me emails or making comments that they didn't agree for this and this and this. I get it. You're not going to agree with everything I say. Okay, I promise you, you're not. All right. But find out why. Okay. Learn why you didn't agree with it. Maybe there's just something else that you can add to it that would make more sense to you. But here's what I say. If you agree with it, use it. If you don't use it. Okay? Fair enough? All right? If somebody in the YouTube world out there could say amen or fair enough for me, I appreciate it. Okay? All right. All right. Here we go. Ready? Ready to write some notes? All right. For the longest time, I have been going on this idea that being a manager is totally different than being a leader. I don't care what industry it is, okay? It is totally different, okay? The manager is going to do things different than a leader would. The manager is going to think differently than a leader would. And I'm going to hopefully portray that in these upcoming videos, okay? But if I'm going to start anywhere on my first video on the topic of leadership, it has to start with this. There is a law, the law, that I learned back in 1998, okay? As a matter of fact, on my other videos, I showed you guys this book, 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, okay? From John Maxwell. All right, this book, as you can tell, is kind of old. See, the pages are torn. I've had this book for a long time, guys. There's a law in there, the very first chapter. You have to read it. Either watch it on YouTube or get it on the internet or go to the bookstore and get you this book. The law. It is the law of the lid. You have to accept this law before you can move on, before you can do anything else regarding leadership, okay? And first of all, before I go into it, let me define it for you. The law of the lid, pretty much the definition of that is, it pretty much defines or it tells you the level of effectiveness on your team, in your organization, whatever the case may be, okay? And here's what I mean by that. Let's say on a scale of 1 to 10. I saw John Maxwell do this a long time ago, and I want to share this with you guys, okay? Let's say, for example, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm right here, okay, at a 4, okay? I'm at a 4 right here on a scale of 1 to 10 when it comes to leadership, all right? Now, here is my organization, my team, whatever the case may be, okay? Here's who you're trying to lead, okay? If me as the leader is at a 4, what level is my team or my organization going to be that I'm in charge of? At what level are they going to be? If I'm over here at a 4, what are they going to be at? Okay? Here's what's happening. Okay? As a leader, if I'm a 4, my team, my organization that I'm in charge of, they can't be any higher than a 4. So at best, that team, that organization is a 3 or a 4 at best. You know what it will never be? It will never be a 5 or a 6 or a 7. As long as this person that's in charge is at a 4 on their lid, okay, then that organization will be down here, all right? Because that lid is being controlled. The effectiveness is being controlled by that leader. It cannot grow. That team cannot grow. That organization cannot grow, okay? All right, now, Now that you saw that, why is that important? Okay. The law of the lid does not only just tell you the level of effectiveness in your organization, it also tells you the level of your followers. Okay. Here's what I mean by that. Okay. I've been studying leadership since 1996. Okay, I've always known that I wanted to be a leader of some sorts. I was in the military since 1994. I knew that as long as I was going to be wearing a uniform, eventually I was going to have to be leading a unit of some sorts eventually. So I had to learn how to lead. Okay, so I became infatuated with the topic of leadership because I joined the military. I was in the Marine Corps for 15 years. Okay. Now, here's what I mean by that. But when I say it's going to tell you the level of your followers. Okay. If I've been studying leadership as long as I have, I will probably dare say I'm a strong 7 on a scale of 1 to 10. I'm a strong 7, maybe a weak 8. And I know what a lot of you people are saying is, well, if you've been studying leadership this long, why aren't you a 10 yet? Here's the thing. Here's what I'm learning now at a level that I'm at. Okay, and this is why I started doing things I'm doing this past year. I wrote a book. Okay, I created a presentation on what it takes to have a great team. Okay, it's a 2, 3, 4 hour presentation. It can be as long as anybody wants it to, who wants to hear it. Okay, I can talk all day about leadership and what it takes to have a great team. Okay, but I created all of that, and now what I'm trying to do is to create other leaders. Okay, I'm a strong 7, weak 8. My goal now at this point in my career as a leader is to create other 7s and 8s. If I can do that, then that'll put me at a level that I've never been before as a leader, as a 10. Okay, I'm almost there. I'm working on it. All right, I'm working on it. Now, why is that important? Why did I just tell you that I'm a strong 7, maybe a weak 8? If I ever go on a job interview, and I've done many of them, okay? Like I say, I'm not a young buck anymore. And I've done many job interviews. The last one was almost 16 years ago, but it's been a long time, okay? If I'm sitting there as a 7, and the person that's interviewing me, and I'm listening and I'm observing and how they're doing this interview and the questions they're asking, I'm good enough to know that I can tell in about 20 to 30 minutes that I have a conversation with you where you're going to be at. And if I'm a 7 and you are, as the interviewee, giving the interview at a 4 down here, you just lost the stud. Okay, like I said, I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but I got over 33 years of experience in the optical business. Been working with a lot of great people in the industry. My dad was an optician for over 30 years. I'm a stud when it comes to this industry, okay? But here's the thing. If I'm a 7 and the person giving the interview is a 4, I'm thinking to myself, okay, am I going to be able to last here as a 7? Okay? I hear this all the time when I do interviews. Why did you leave your current situation? Okay? You would not believe the horror stories I hear from people that I'm interviewing saying the person in charge didn't know what they were doing. The person in charge was a family member. They just put him in charge because they were a family member and they had no idea what they're doing. The person in charge didn't know how to handle this situation. The person in charge didn't care. The person in charge was selfish. The person in charge, you name it. The list goes on. Okay? So needless to say, they were not good leaders, and that's why they left the employee, and now they're trying to find another situation that's better for them. All right. So if I'm a 7 and the person giving me the interview is a 4, I'm thinking to myself one of two things. Either I'm going to come on board and this person is not going to like me eventually because I want to lead. I don't want to be a follower, not for long. Yes, to be a good leader, you got to be a good follower. I get it. All right. But I'm not going to stay there long because here's what's going to happen. I think I might have just revealed to you why your office has a lot of turnovers. Okay. You got a lot of 4s that are trying to lead 6, 7s, and 8s and 9s. Okay. And as long as that person that's leading is a 4 is trying to run things, manage things, you're running off good people. Okay. So I might have just revealed to you why your turnover is where it's at. Okay. So there it is right there. The good, honest truth. I think I just stepped on some toes. Okay. I heard somebody say, ouch. Okay. So now hear me out. Okay. If I just stepped on your toes, hear me out. Okay. So if I'm a 7 and my superiors are a 4, here's what's going to happen. And it's happened to me personally. Okay. And I see it happening all the time, and not just in our industry, but here's what happens. Because I'm a 7 and you bring me on board, the team eventually is going to see that I'm a 7 and that the person that's leading is only a 4, and the team is going to start following my direction. They're going to start following my ideas. They're going to start following my influence. Okay? So what's going to probably happen is this. The 4 that's in charge is either going to get to my level because they realize what's going on, okay? Or they're going to fire me out of jealousy. They're going to fire me. It's not going to be healthy because lo and behold, God forbid, that 4 gives up a position or any kind of influence, okay? Because they have the title. Big deal. Okay, you can have all the titles you want. I don't want any titles, okay? As a leader, you shouldn't care about titles. Leadership is not about rank. It's not about titles, okay? So the team's going to start following me. Either that 4 is either going to figure it out and say, you know, I need to become a 7 like David is so that the team can follow my influences, okay? Because if I don't do that, if I don't grow to be up to 7 as a leader, then I'm going to have to let David go, okay? And that either is going to happen, or me, myself, as the 7, it's not going to take long for me to realize this is not a current healthy situation. And then I'm going to leave. And you just lost a stud, okay? So here's the good news. Here's the good news. John C. Maxwell puts it this way. He goes to a lot of conferences, and people always ask him, you know, are leaders born? And he always jokes around and he laughs about it. And his response is, of course, you know, leaders are born, okay? Everybody is born, okay? But what he realizes is what the people in the audience are trying to ask is, are leaders born with it? Do you have it from the day you were born, or is it something that you can learn? Okay. The Law of the Lid, the book that I just shared with you, has 21 laws of leadership. Okay. You can learn all of them. You may not be good at all of them, but the good news is if you are a 4, pick up a book, watch videos, pick up 2-3 books on leadership, and become a 7. That's the good news, guys, is you can learn how to be a 7 or an 8 or 9. You can grow, okay? Your influence can grow if you grow as a leader, okay? That's the good news, all right? Anyone can grow. Anyone can. You just got to feed yourself with knowledge and books and education and instruction and all, mentors. My God, everything is out there. You can raise your lid, okay? You don't have to stay at a 4. That's the good news, okay? Now, the bad news is not everybody's going to want to. They just won't. They don't want to put in the work. They're happy with being a 4. That's fine. Stay a 4, okay? But realize this, guys. As a leader, if you stay a 4, you're not gonna ever have 5s, 6, and 7s. I just shared the secret as to why your practice may not be where you want it to be. It's because of the person that's in charge or down here at a 4. Okay? How we doing, gang? Okay? I know I'm stepping on toes. Okay? But I'm trying to be truthful and honest with you. A lot of your practices, small businesses are not growing because the person in charge is not letting it grow. Okay? The corporation, the team is down here trying to grow, but the leader in charge is not letting it grow because they want to stay a 4. They don't want to put forth the effort. Once they get a title, they stop working. Big deal about titles. Big deal. Okay, you can have them. All right. A lot of people, for some reason, are excited. Yes, you worked hard for it to get to a certain position. Great. Okay. Now use that position to have a greater influence on your team. Okay. So once you get there, a lot of people always celebrate. They get a title and then they stop working because they're celebrating too much. No, that's when the real work starts. Okay. That's when you start to figure out what kind of journey, what kind of goals, what kind of team you want, what kind of team you need with the goals you want to achieve, okay? But the problem is a lot of people don't want to grow anymore once they get a title and they stay down here, okay? So not everybody's going to want to grow. I always tell people, they want a promotion, they want a title, they want to get to a certain whatever part in the corporate ladder. Be careful, okay? Be careful once you get to that point because it's going to come with a lot of responsibility, okay? I always tell my people, yes, I'm trying to teach them how to be leaders, but I'm also trying to teach them how to accept the responsibility of being a leader because a lot's going to be expected of a leader, okay? It comes with a lot of responsibility, okay? And that's why a lot of people don't want to be in charge. They don't want to be the leader in front, okay? It comes with a lot of accountability, okay? And here's the difference. A while ago, I was talking the difference between a manager and a leader. So if you want to be a leader, guys, here's the thing. Here's a couple of things that me personally that I realized that I had to work on to become a better leader. First thing is I had to learn how to become selfless. Could not be selfish anymore. It was not about David anymore. It was not about when is David going to get the next raise anymore. It was not about when can David do this or when can David get that. It was not about David anymore. Okay? Now it became more about the team, the big picture. Okay? What are the goals we want to try to accomplish as a team? Okay? So that's one thing I realized is I could not be selfish anymore. Okay? I came second. I was not first anymore. Whether at home with my family, at work with my team, whatever the case may be. I was not first anymore. Okay? If you're a parent, you know what I'm talking about. Once you have a child, you're no longer first. Your child comes first. Okay? Same thing with a leader. Okay? Another thing I quickly had to learn to become a good leader is I had to become a communicator. This became hard at first, but then I realized I was doing it all wrong, okay? I realized that to communicate really well as a leader, I had to do one thing. I had to listen twice as much than I talk. Somebody said, that's why God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth. Okay, communication is really easy if you listen more. Okay, that's what communication is. And I had to learn how to do that. I had to teach myself how to listen. I had to shut my mouth and I had to listen. A lot of times when people talk to me, they're not looking for answers. They just want somebody to listen and show them that they care, that I care about it enough to listen. Okay, so communicate. I had to learn how to communicate to become an effective leader. Another thing, man, that was really big is passion. If you can't tell by now how passionate I am about this industry or the topic of leadership or the military, I mean, hello, look behind me. What do you see? A bunch of military stuff, okay? I'm passionate about my family, my faith, my work, my team, okay? You gotta be passionate about something. If you're not, then why would anybody want to follow you on this journey that you keep talking about? Why would anybody want to care and listen about your goals if you weren't passionate about it? Okay? So, if you can't tell by now how passionate I am about doing this for you guys, man, I love teaching. I love coaching. I love solving issues and problems with my team. I love helping others solve problems at the office, and that helps them grow as leaders themselves. Okay, I love that. I'm passionate about teaching and coaching. Another thing that I had to learn to become a better leader is I had to lead with a heart. That was really hard for me at first. Okay, I remember being a squad leader as a sergeant in the Marine Corps. I didn't really lead with a heart as much. I led with my mouth. Okay, I did a lot of screaming. Okay, as a sergeant in the Marine Corps, that was our job. Just scream, yell, commands, give commands. Okay, I could care less how you felt, how sick you felt, how tired you were. I could care less. The mission was more important than you. Okay, that was not leading with a heart. Okay, but now that I'm older, wiser, okay, and as I grew up in rank, okay, I learned that sometimes as a leader, the way I heard it said by John Maxwell is, before you can ask for a hand, you gotta lead with a heart. If you can do that, anything that you ask of your team, they're gonna do it for you, okay? Another thing that I had to learn to become an effective leader is I had to be competent. Okay, I've been an optician since 1989, but before that, I was in high school. My dad was an optician. He would bring home magazines from the office. I would read them and books, and he would talk to me about this and that, optics, lenses, frames. You know, he would bring frames home so I could adjust them, repair them. So I had a great teacher. Okay, he taught me a lot, and so I was very competent already when I got my first job, more so than most people that became opticians for the first time. Okay, so but now after over 30 years in the field, there's a lot that I need to know. Okay, I need to always, read up on things, the new technology, on this or insurance or you name it. I had to be competent because, let's face it, who wants to follow a weak, ignorant leader? Nobody does, okay? I want to follow somebody that's competent, that knows what they're talking about. When they make a decision, is going to lead to a win, a victory for the team, not a loss, okay? So I want somebody that's stronger than me. That's why I studied all these military leaders, these generals that have served in combat, because when eventually I knew that day was coming for me, I wanted to know how they performed under combat, under that stress of combat. I wanted to be able to do that when that day came eventually for me. So I want to follow somebody that's stronger than me and competent, okay? Somebody that has a good attitude, Who wants to follow a grumpy, crying, spoiled leader? Okay? Nobody does. I don't want to follow a complainer, somebody that complains all day long. Okay? That wears me out. Okay? I want to follow somebody that has a good attitude. So I had to learn how to be competent in what I was doing so that when somebody came to me with a question, I could answer it. And, like I said, I'm not, the smartest guy in the world. If I can't find an answer or give that person, an answer that they want or need at that time, I'm going to know where to research it. I will find the answer for you, okay? So I don't know everything, but I can find a lot of answers if I just took the time to research it. And together, me and that person will look up the answer, and we solved the issue together, and we learned. We became better for it. The other thing, one of the last things that I had to teach myself was how to be accountable, okay? If you cannot depend on me as your leader to be at the office when I need to be at the office, to do certain things when I tell you I'm going to do it, to get you certain resources or materials when I tell you I'm going to get them for you, if you cannot depend on me to do that, I'm not going to be a good leader for you or anybody, okay? I had to learn how to be accountable. If I did something bad, if I made a mistake, I'm going to be able to man up to it and say, yes, I made a mistake. I did this wrong. I made the wrong decision. I'm accountable for it. Or if somebody on my team messes up, okay, why did they mess up? Did I not give them the right training? Okay. Did I not teach them correctly the first time or the second time? Why did that person on my team mess up? And I am going to be the one to accept responsibility for that as the leader, okay? If you guys ever worked for somebody that when something huge was accomplished and the first person that wants to take the credit for it is the one with a title, you guys ever been in that situation? Okay, not healthy, okay? In my situation as a leader, when we accomplish something big, the credit goes to the people that were doing the work, the team, okay? I might have provided, some ideas, okay? But let's face it, the people that are doing the work are the ones that clock in. They're at the front desk. They're in the pre-test room. The ones that are ordering the glasses, the contacts, they're the ones that are doing the work. I just give them some ideas, okay? Certain situations, I teach them, how to do certain things better, but they do the work. Yes, I do work with them. I work hard with them. But when something big happens and I see them doing something great, they're going to get the credit, not me, okay? Not me. I don't need to get the credit as a leader, okay? That's not the reason why I want to be a leader, okay? If you want to give me an award of some sort, whatever the case would be, great. I appreciate it. I love the recognition, but that my team works hard, and anytime I see them working hard, I'm going to give them the credit. So one of the reasons why I wanted to learn that, especially how to be accountable, was this. That law, the law of the lid, okay? Again, that determines the level of effectiveness for your organization. If you are here, okay, this is where your team, your organization is going to be, all right? You have to accept that law, all right? If you can't, you're not going to do well in the course of leadership, okay? Here's another thing you must accept. Everything, and I mean everything, rises and falls on leadership. That is something that I learned from day one from John C. Maxwell, is everything rises and falls on leadership. If things are going great at the office, if things are going bad at the office, it's on me, okay? And here's the thing, a lot of managers they won't take that responsibility. All right. If you can't accept responsibility for your team's failures, you have no business being in charge. Plain and simple. Okay, and there it is. I just stepped on a couple of other toes. Okay, if you cannot accept responsibility for your team's failures, you have no business being a coach or a leader of some sorts. Okay, you can't. All right. Here's the thing that's important because of that I just shared with you guys. When things go bad, it's your fault. Show me a corporation or a team that's successful, I'll show you a good coach or good leader. It's that simple. Okay? It's that simple. All right? Because of the law of the lid. Leadership is influence, not a position. Okay? That's another thing that I wanted to share with you guys tonight. A perfect example of this, influence versus position. And I heard John Maxwell share this example in one of his videos that's on YouTube. Perfect example is Princess Diana. Okay? For those that remember her. Yes, at one point she was a part of the royal family. Okay? But there came a day, the divorce, King Charles, they separated, they got divorced. She was no longer allowed in the palace, okay? So here's the thing about that. After Princess Di was out of the palace, you had the royal family that had all the titles, the money, prestige, cars, you name it, jewelry, okay? They had all of that. Lady Di had influence, okay? She had more influence than the royal family did at the royal palace. Okay, you don't believe me? Just go watch some videos, okay? After she was separated from the royal family, anytime Lady Di went anywhere, she had hundreds of people following her, taking pictures, okay? Anytime she did something great for charity, people donated to that charity, okay, because of Lady Di. She had more influence. She didn't have any more titles, but she had influence, okay? So leadership is not titles. Leadership is not a position. Leadership is a lot of responsibility, okay? Plain and simple. It comes with a huge, huge responsibility. The reason why I say that, guys, we have enough people in this world with titles. We don't need any more, okay? Like I said before, great titles are fine. If you have to have titles in your corporation to operate, I guess, okay? But for me, titles, I could care less about titles, okay? Nobody in my office calls me the manager. They won't. I won't let them, because I don't want to be looked at or compared to a manager. Okay, I want to be a leader of some sorts. They're going to call me team leader. Okay, or they're just going to call me David. Okay, the man in charge. Okay, so the one that's been there the longest. Okay, so we got enough people in this world with titles. We need more leaders. Okay, we need more leaders. And there is a difference. And once you accept the law of the lid and a couple of the other laws, you'll see that there is a difference between that and being a manager. Okay? I can't tell you how many times I've seen people that have a title that was given to them, maybe not necessarily earned, and they take a position and they have no idea what they're doing. And the next thing you know, that organization is ruined, okay? Why that person, number one, was given that opportunity or that position is beyond me. I see it a lot in my industry, okay? And then number two, why did that person even accept that position? They had no idea what they were doing. They were going after the position. Okay, that's what they were going after. They were going after the prizes, the perks. Okay, but they were not ready to pay the price. Okay, the work. All right. If you are given an opportunity to be a leader or a position and you're not ready for it and you know it, don't accept it. Okay, don't accept it, because you're going to be given a lot of responsibilities that you're not going to be ready for, and then you're going to become a failure, and that organization is going to fail. And then, like I said before, everything rises and falls on leader. Okay, now if you've been preparing for a while to take over that certain position so that you use your influence as a leader while you're in that position, and you are competent and you are strong, go for it. Take that job, take that position, accept that position. Okay, if you know that you are definitely going to make a difference, not only in the corporation on the bottom line, but on the team, your team's going to grow because of that, because you're competent and you know what you're talking about, go for it. Okay, but if you don't, we got enough people making mistakes in our industry and other industries. We don't need any more. Okay, so, but don't forget, if you're not ready, then you're not ready. Okay, I gave this example in my book. Okay, when I was a Lance Corporal, I was dying to become a corporal, an NCO, a non-commissioned officer. That's all I could think about. I ate NCO, I slept NCO, I studied NCO. All I could think about is how do I, what do I need to do to become an NCO, a non-commissioned officer? And then 1 month after doing everything that I did, I stood in front of the board. It came time for promotions, and guess who did not get promoted to corporal? Okay, now I could have bitched about it, I could have cried about it, but leaders don't do that. They don't cry or cry foul when they're not given a position. Okay, they don't whine about it. What I did is I went to my platoon sergeant and my squad leader and I said, where do I need to improve to get that promotion? Show me, teach me, what do I gotta do? And they did. They showed me. Okay, they took the time to show me what expectations I needed to meet so that the Marine Corps could feel like I earned that promotion to NCO. Okay, the Marine Corps is, in my opinion, it's just my opinion, they're okay, they're decent, they're good about promoting people that are ready for the promotion. If you're not ready, they're not going to promote you. There are certain things, certain things you got to do to qualify for that promotion. If you don't meet those qualifications, you're not getting promoted. I wish that the same thing would happen in the corporate world. Okay, but unfortunately, sometimes it's just a matter of who you know, not what you know, and boom, you got the promotion. Or it's just a matter of what degree you got from this school, and boom, you got the promotion. Okay, or as I like to call them, the degrees. Okay, there's a lot of people with degrees out there. They don't need to be in charge. Okay, now teach them, guide them. All right, teach them how to eventually be good and ready for that position. But a lot of times, let's face it, guys, people that aren't ready to lead, they're given these positions, and then the whole corporation loses because of that. The team loses. Okay, we don't need any more of that. All right, so be ready for it, study for it, prepare yourself for it, just like I did for months to get ready for that promotion. Did the same thing. Okay, the doctor I was hired by the doctor in 2009 that I'm currently with. He did not make me the leader until 2018, 9 years later. Okay. And I will go over this among other videos. Like I said, you don't need a title to be a leader. I was a leader way before I was made a team leader. Okay. When I was officially given the title, I had a lot of influence. And the people that were around me, they knew who was the strongest leader. They knew who was the competent leader. And so they followed my ideas. They followed my direction, my influence. I had a lot of influence. That's what leadership is. Nothing more, nothing less. Okay? So the good news, guys, here it is. To recap. If you're not a good leader, if you are at a 4, you don't have to stay at a 4. Okay? I remember when I wasn't even a 4. I was maybe a 2. Okay? And then the next you know, after reading all my books, studying all the books, the academies I went to while I was in the military to become better NCOs, non-commissioned officers, learned a lot about leadership there, and then experience. The next you know, I'm not a 2 anymore. I'm up here at a 7 or 8. Okay? So you can grow. That's the good news. You don't have to stay down here. All right? If you want to put in the work for it, if you're ready to put in the work for it, if you're ready to accept the responsibility of being in charge, the responsibility of being others, if you're selfless, not selfish, then I think you're ready. Okay? I think you're ready. So there it was, guys. I try to keep these videos short, but man, the topic of leadership is just crazy. Okay? It's exciting. It's a passion of mine, but I can't really do this in short videos. I'm going to try to keep these shorter and shorter as I do this, because I know people don't want to watch videos that are long, okay, on YouTube. I get it. YouTube is supposed to be for entertainment, okay? So I'm trying to make this entertainment, but also educational at the same time. So I want you guys to be better, okay? That's my goal. I want you guys to be better leaders. And if you're in industry and if this helps you, I hope it does. We need more leaders in our industry, but also in others, okay? So like I always say, if you're not a leader, you're a leader in training, okay? So for tonight, that's where I'm going to end it, okay? Like I said, the law of the lid, it's a law you got to accept. If you can't accept the law of the lid, then you're going to have to pick up the book, watch a video, and figure out why it makes sense to accept that law before you become an effective leader, okay? Because how good of a leader you are depends on how good or how big that corporation that you're in charge of is going to be, okay? So you got to accept that. And then number 2, realize you got to be accountable. Everything rises and falls on leadership. If things are going great, you got a great leader, okay? Great leadership's there. If things are going bad, it's all on the leader. It's on you, okay? And you gotta be willing to accept that responsibility. If you can't, you don't have no business accepting the position of leadership anywhere, in this industry or anywhere, okay? So just like a coach, when a team loses, a good coach is gonna take one for the team, and he's going to blame the loss on him as the coach. The leader should do the same thing. All right, guys. This video is long enough. I'm going to keep it short. I'm going to start preparing for the next topic. It's going to be on leadership as well. But again, I hope that you are writing down some notes. I hope you learned something you can use at the office, or in your industry that you're a part of, on your team. I hope this helps, okay? Like I said before, I'm not the only one on social media teaching about leadership. Man, John C. Maxwell is a good mentor. He is somebody that is a awesome teacher, sensei, whatever you want to call him when it comes to leadership. He is it, okay? I've been studying that man, his books, his principles of leadership since the late 90s. Okay, so there's a bunch of other people that are teaching the topic of leadership. I'm not the only one. What I'm hoping to do is to incorporate those principles I learned in the military while I was in the Marine Corps into the corporate world. When it comes to the topic of leadership, I want to combine both of those worlds together, and hopefully I can help you guys be better leaders for your team. So for now, guys, thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. This will help me out. Don't forget to buy my book. If you go to dorrancepublishing.com, DORRANCE, dorrancepublishing.com. If you want to get on that website, my book, just search in the search box, is entitled Which is Better, 1 or 2. That'll also help me out to help reach my goals and dreams. And eventually, guys, one day I'll get to see you guys on the circuit. My goal and dream is to be a speaker out there, providing some CE for some opticians that need it, to sit down with teams and staff at offices and teach them how to have a great team. So that's my goal for the future anyways, in my dream. So until next time, guys, remember, if you're not a leader, in my eyes, hopefully you are a leader in training. Okay, be better for your team. Okay, be better first, lead yourself first, and then learn how to lead others. Thanks.